Hey, what's up, everybody? I think Theta, a really bullish setup, is upon us, and I'll explain why in just a second. But first, on the larger time frames, right? The reason why we think this is bottomed and we think that this is going to go up is because this wave here is an ABC, right? So you basically have 5 waves in each wave. Well, actually, if you count the subwaves, it's a little bit more. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, would you look at that? And then you can see here we have 1, 2, 3. This is really 5 and this is really 5. I counted it as 7 so that you can see the subwave. But basically you have this wave and this wave, right? They're in the same degree. So that's one of the big reasons, right? We have 5 waves and we have bullish divergence, right? We have bullish divergence between the 3rd and the 5th of that wave. But not only that, you can see how long this wave has taken. This wave, A, B, C, has taken over a year, right? And then you can see we have 3 waves up and 3 waves down, and they're both the same size, basically, right? They're in the same degree, they're in the same ballpark. So if that's the case, and we have 3 waves up and we have 3 waves down, well, what comes next? Statistically speaking, you usually get 3 up or 5 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what does that become? That becomes 1, 2, 3. It becomes a 3-wave move, which each part of that 3-wave move has 3 itself, or 5, right? So that's exactly what I think is happening here. The alternative to that would be if Theta would continue to come down, you would see a 3-wave pullback, right? And then a continuation to the downside. And that would it would maybe be a little bigger. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A. And then you have 1, 2, 3, there's your B. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, there's your C. And then you go up. So we have more pain, more downside to come, according to that idea. Now, which idea do I favor? I favor a retrace. I favor this coming up here. If we get up there and we look impulsive, we look healthy, then there's no reason why we couldn't break out into these higher retrace levels. Because if you look, Theta has not had a complete retrace yet. You can see it didn't even get to the 236, right? So we had a big rise, we had a big crash, but where's the retrace? We don't have it, right? So usually a retrace goes up in 3. So if this is 1, 2, 3, and then we get up into the retrace, that would make a lot more sense. And then once we get up there, then you can initiate a wave C if you really needed to, A, B, C, right? A lot of times it wouldn't be that dramatic. A lot of times it would be A, B, C, something like this. Maybe it's a flat. Maybe we take the high real quick and then we come down. A, B, C as a running flat, or a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout, right? Same type of structure XRP has. Basically a cup and a handle, right? You could see that really clearly, that same structure in XRP, but that's not the exciting part. You guys already know that part. The exciting part is when we zoom in to Theta. But before I do that, you can see right here, the same type of cup and handle, the same type of rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. So basically, Theta is like somewhere over here. You know, it's somewhere in here. So it still needs to, it's like this is a A, B, C, right? So it's like we're at the bottom of a B wave. But XRP is way the hell over here, right? Because it completed all the phases. And that's why all throughout in here, I told you guys, XRP is way, by far, my biggest holding. And then we got this big major move, and now it's starting to make more sense, right? And we'll get into XRP in a minute, but let me just finish here with Theta. If you look, if we zoom in to Theta, and when I say Theta, you know, I really mean the whole market too. When you think about it, right? We're talking about Matic, we're talking about Ethereum, we're talking about ADA, HBAR, XLM, right? XRP. We're talking about, the vast majority of crypto getting some kind of retrace. But Theta in particular, we could see, this is really important here, especially what happened here. And we have not even talked about what happened here yet, but essentially you can see very clearly now 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. Got it. We got bullish divergence. Got it. So we have the completed 5-wave move. So what do we need now? We need an impulse. What's an impulse? A 5-wave move off the low. Do we have it? Yes, we do. Look at this. But before I get into that, you can also see we have a bottom, you have a bottom, you have a bottom. You can start to see it starting to wane out. Versus over here, we're going down, we're accelerating down, we're accelerating down. Now we're flattening out, we're flattening out, we're flattening out. So these are signs that we look for. Okay, so if you look closely here, you can see, well, first of all, you can see the bullish divergence between here and here, right? And then what's interesting to me is what just happened recently, which is a 1 2 3 4 5. So if that's a wave 1, we have a 5-wave move, right? Now the downside to that is that this could be like A, B, C, a flat, right? Like 3 waves up, and then you get 3 waves down, and then you kind of go. But that's another idea. But essentially, what you have is 1 2 3 4 5. That's a wave 1. Now, what do you need? So you have a 5-wave move, right? Off the low, off a 1-year 3-wave pullback. You have a 5-wave move off the low. So what do you need now? An ABC. Do we have an ABC? Well, it sure looks like it to me. A, B, C. So we have 1 2 3 4 5. 1, A, B, C. There's your 2. Now, there's no guarantee that the 2 is finished, right? This can come way down here if it needed to, if it wanted to, right? It could come somewhere down in this zone, and it could be like an A, B, C. So you would have, if I just put this on really quickly here, 1 2 3 4 and 5, and we have an A, B, and a C. Now, does C end here, right? Maybe does it got to come down a little bit more? We'll see how it plays out. But there you go. That's Theta. So let's look a little closer on the smaller time frames. Why not? So the smaller time frames, there's really not much here. I mean, you could kind of see 1 2 3 4 5 A. You could see 1 2 3 B. And this looks like 1 2. Is that 3 4 and 5? Maybe like a kind of like a diagonal shape. And there's your C. Or is this 1 2 and then all of that's 3, and then we're going to get a 4 and then a 5. Right? 1 2 3 4 5, 3, and then 5, and that's your A, B, C, and then you kind of chill out a little bit and then go up. Right? Or is this going to be some kind of extended move that gets us back down over here, right? Kind of like a 1 2 3 4 5. ABC. Well, we'll see, right? We can always take a trend-based fib extension from the top to the bottom, back to the top, and you can see we haven't even hit the 786. So what I would calculate here is 69 cents. I would calculate the one-to-one extension. That would be probably that would be an ultimate buy the dip situation for myself, not financial advice, but let's see if we get down there. Now you can always break it, but I don't think so. Obviously, you want to kind of stay above that high, and the one-to-one is slightly above it. So yeah, let's see how it continues to play out. But if we zoom in, right, if we zoom in even further and we look at what's going on over here, let's take a look at the 5-minute chart. Actually, let's look at the 1-minute chart. So right here, this recent move, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could be a 1. That could be A, B, C. That could be a 2. So maybe we continue higher from there. And then you can see here, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So that could have been the last wave down. And if I zoom out a little bit further, this was also like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 in here, and then there's 5 off the low. So maybe that's the bottom. We'll see. I don't think so. We're probably going to break the low. The reason why is because it's Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday. So usually, crypto doesn't do so well on the weekends. It's just usually the way it goes. But yeah, we'll see if we can hold a little bit of a base in here and see if we can hold some support and then reevaluate. But one thing is for sure, we have this 5-wave move off the low. So as long as we hold this low right here, which is what? Like 60 cents. As long as Theta holds 60 cents, there's no reason why it can't continue higher. Right? This is the first 5-wave move we've had. Right? If you go back over here, this kind of looked like a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it was really choppy, very corrective, and it just didn't have the right look and feel. It looked more like a bear flag, like you're flagging out to the downside. So this looks more wavy. It looks more it has more oscillation, and the waves are direct. They're not like choppy waves, right? So we finally have a 5-wave move off the low, and it's taken quite some time. It's taken since back here in December. So almost like 4 or 5 months, right? So December, January, February, March, April, and now May. So this is our 6th month. We've been going down. Gosh, dang. We've been going down for 6 months. Man, that just seems like, so is the crypto market beat up enough? I think so. I mean, again, there's a lot to look forward to. You have regulations coming. You have the tax cuts coming. Tax cuts are going to be a big deal. It's going to spark a lot of consumer optimism and things like that. It's going to kind of boost the economy in a way. And we're not looking for long-term things. We're looking for big bull runs, right? We're not looking for like a 5-year bull run. We're looking for a fast wave up here, and that's probably it, So, and we'll talk about that when we get to XRP, which is right now. So, yeah, so there's a lot to look forward to as far as the crypto market goes. And you can see the M2 money supply is going up. Again, the tax cuts, the regulation, the XRP ETF, right? And then you have I'm curious to see what Atkins does in the SEC, because the SEC's job, right, is to figure out what do we do with crypto, like who takes it over, the CFTC, is it the SEC? We shall see. So, but I expect a lot of, look, we have a rock star, rock solid, in my opinion, and a really solid administration. So, and they're very crypto friendly, and they understand the dynamics involved around crypto and how important it is to be a leader in this space. We can't have China, running the world with their crypto systems, right? It's not going to happen. So that's why we need this to be regulated, so that consumers, corporations, businesses, whoever can implement, right, crypto, the code, right? Like let's say a company wants to use Filecoin for their files or something like that. Well, they can't really do it because it's really not regulated. So if I'm a big, $80 million company, I can't really mess with Filecoin because I don't want to get a lawsuit. You know what I mean? So there's this, you can't really play. You can't really play the game unless you don't know the rules. There's no rules. So we need rules. We need regulations so that corporations can get their lawyers and say, okay, here's a crypto we want to use. It's going to do this for our company. We're going to save this much money. We're going to get this many more people on our so how we want to use it. The lawyers say, well, we can't use it because it's not regulated. There you go. So once it's regulated, then you're going to have utility come out, right? Because all we have is just people buying and selling crypto. That's crypto. We're not using crypto what it's meant for, right? You bought crypto to make money off of it, not to use it. Let's just be real, right? Most of us, every one of us, bought crypto not because, we wanted to use it, but because we thought it's going to increase in value. We're going to make money on it, right? And that's with anything. But there's people who actually buy crypto to use it. Like, for example, let's say they wanted to do an online platform that involves something, and they only take Bitcoin. So you have to go to Coinbase, you have to buy Bitcoin, you have to send the Bitcoin, right? You're actually using the Bitcoin for a utility purpose. That's where XRP needs to be once regulations happen amongst the banks, right? Amongst the central banks, you got derivatives. There's so many things that XRP can do. For example, the tokenization of assets, right? So you can even, I heard someone say you can tokenize the Panama Canal, right? Like eventually, if the U.S. wanted to, because the U.S. built it, there's kind of a question mark of who actually owns it, but essentially we're running it, because we built it. But you could actually tokenize certain parts of the canal. I don't know, it's kind of a weird subject, but maybe not even that. But or for example, like a sports franchise, right? Like let's say, like Mark Cuban owns the Dallas Mavericks and he wants to sell it, but not one person wants to buy it. Maybe he wants to tokenize the Dallas Mavericks franchise so that me and you and everyone else can own a piece of it. Kind of like how they did with art. Back in the day, DAI used to advertise that art stuff where you have a painting. It's like a Picasso $1 million painting, and everybody has a piece of it, right? And that's the same thing with XRP. I own XRP. Everybody has a piece of it, right? There's, I forgot how many drops. There's 100 billion XRP tokens. And within those 100 billion, you have, I think there's 7 drops or 6 drops. I can't remember. But like, for example, Satoshi, Bitcoin is Satoshi as XRP is to drops, right? And we call them drops, like water drops, like ripple, like I throw a rock in the pool and it makes a ripple, right? We talk about liquidity, right? Ripple, liquidity, right? So that all has to do with water, right? We talk about cash flow, right? The flow of water. So money is like water. Water is like money. And that's why they use the term drops, because they're drops of water, right? So what happens when you open, right now we're just getting like little drops of water, coming out of this major, call it like a pipeline or what, or like just a couple drops. Well, what happens when we get regulations, and then we can basically open up the spigots, and then you have real cash flow where it's really flowing like crazy, right? Right now we just have little drops of, the crypto market's not even a $10 trillion market cap, right? So it's still very small. But anyways, again, the why I am talking about that is because what I'm saying here is we have a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of ammunition. There's a lot of, because with Trump, you don't know what you're going to get. There's always surprises. And again, he's a man of his word. He talks about crypto. He basically everything he said, he did so in his executive orders, right? And there's still more to come. So there's only so much the president can do. He has to kind of kick the ball to Congress, and Congress is, people always complain about the president. It's not it's Congress is the problem, because nobody can agree on anything, and it's just so corrupt. It's not even for we the people. It's basically like ExxonMobil gets to walk in there, a corporation, and then they tell the politicians what they want, or Walmart, or big banks, or Jamie Dimon, or these big players. They dictate what Congress does, not me and you. We have no say. We have no voice in Congress, and that's why Trump won, and that's why they don't understand that. But anyways, so when we look at XRP, right, we can totally see something really interesting happening, right? And those of that you don't see are those of you who are new to the channel. Basically, my message is, when you see a crypto going sideways, right? First of all, the crypto has to have good inflation numbers. It has to have good tokenomics, right? There can't be infinity tokens and only 2% of the supply, right? Because why would you invest in that? There has to be a solid foundation, and that's Ripple, right? Ripple is the secret sauce to XRP, and vice versa. But essentially, if you have all the bells and whistles for a particular crypto blockchain project, company, whatever, then you want to look for, and it already had a major bull run. You want to look for stabilization, right? So we see XRP has completely stabilized above its previous zone, right? So this is where everything started, right here. It started in this zone, and it basically stabilized within this zone. And then once it felt comfortable being stable in this zone, and let me actually put the zone on so we can see it right there, right? Once it was comfortable within that zone, then essentially what we saw was a major move higher, right? That expanded, right? This is what's called as expansion. So we basically, this was expansion as well, but essentially we were just retesting that whole the whole entire wave, right? So the bottom of the wave to the top of the wave. Then you had the crash, right, which basically just comes and tests the bottom. Then you have the retrace, which basically tests the top. And then you come back down to the bottom without going to the exact bottom. Like here's the bottom, here's the bottom. But here we didn't get to go to the bottom. We had a more, you see how steep and fast that wave was, versus this was more three wave-ish. It took longer to get there, but it didn't have a low, right? It had a higher low. And then essentially from there we stabilize, and then we're just kind of going sideways, 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 and then blast off, right? You can see the little spring in here. So that's exactly what's happening now. Literally the same thing, right? So you can see we've been in this zone for a massive amount of time, longer than any other crypto, right? So we don't technically know what's going to happen. There is no example where I can go to say, hey, look, this crypto with this market cap going sideways for this amount of time did this result. We don't have that, right? You can say, well, what about Bitcoin? You know, if you go to Bitcoin, of course, it's not even on there. Let's go to another Bitcoin chart. If you go to Bitcoin, right, we had a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, and a big breakout. Yes, but this was also sideways, that's true, but it only lasted for a couple years versus lasting year after 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 year. So it took way more time. Now you could say, well, that's bad. No, that's good. That's very good. And if you don't believe me, ask Amazon, okay? Amazon, when Amazon had its first wave, first of all, this is your first growth spurt right here, right? So this is your very first expansion right here. Boom, right there. Okay. So if you go back to Amazon, all right, and I like to talk about Amazon because Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, often describes Ripple like Amazon, right? Amazon is to books as Ripple is to payments. Amazon started off doing books and then they went to other things. Ripple started off doing payments and now they're doing other things. It's kind of the same concept, right? So, and you know, they don't want to just make a little bit of an impact. They want to make a major, you know, a dent in the universe, right? So let's go back to Amazon here. Okay, so here's Amazon right here. So notice what happened to Amazon, right? Amazon, first of all, it's been 7 years since XRP has broken the all-time high, right? From its first bull run. Now, if you look at Amazon from its first bull run, how long did it take for Amazon to break above its all-time high? Well, let me show you for a minute here. So here's the high, right here. Let's see which one's higher. I'll give it the benefit of well, this is the retrace, so we can't really count that. So I'm going to count this from April of 1999. Okay, April 1999. Now, when did we break out? We broke out it took all the way over here from 2009. Guys, it took 10 years for Amazon to break above its all-time high, and Amazon's the greatest company on the planet. Okay. I do a lot of my shopping on Amazon. It's so easy, convenient, right? Amazon, the reason Amazon is so successful is because they have the power of distribution. They have the power of distribution. You can order something on Amazon depending where you live, and it could be delivered to your house the next day, or sometimes even the evening of, right? So it's kind of a weird thing. So people, and you know, a lot of it, some of it's good prices, some of it's terrible, but it's just hit and miss. But basically, it took 10 years, all of this time down here. Whoops. Come on, get there. All right, there we go. I mean, look at that. That's freaking 99, 2000, 2002, 4, 6, 8. I mean, that's 10 years. That's a long time, right? And again, is Amazon a weak company? No, it's the strongest company in the world. It is by far the most. Now you could say, well, no, that's Nvidia. Well, I'm talking about like a retail setting, like a Walmart. Like if you like, who does better, Walmart or Amazon? I don't know. I don't even know. But Amazon's massive, right? It's probably the biggest online store in the world by a lot. Okay, and what I'm getting at is, it took 10 years for it to break out. So it's so alike, like XRP, like Ripple, right? But here's the thing. Once it broke out, guys, once it broke out of its 10-year, see, this is really one of the only examples we can look at. I mean, there's others, but this sideways accumulation took 10 years, and look what the aftermath is, guys. We're still in a bull run. We're still in a bull run. Amazon broke out. Let me get my handy dandy arrow here. So we had the first bull run ever, Amazon. You had the top, you had the crash, you had the retrace, and then you went down, and then you went sideways into reaccumulation. And then you had a wave 1, and then a wave 2, and then you broke out. All right? So you had the rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, right? You went sideways, you had a 1-2 breakout, and then you broke out. And look, you could see Amazon's been going up, 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 year after year after year, 10 years, right? Because it broke out in, 2009? So if we go to 2019, that's 10 years right there. So it's been going up for 10 years. It's been going sideways for 10 years, then it went up for 10 years, and now you count 20, right? It's actually been going up for 15 years. Now, I'm not saying XRP is going to go up for 15 years, okay? Right, Amazon is on another level than Ripple. But as we transition, right, from this central bank fiat currency debt enslavement system that doesn't work, it's a broken financial system. As we transition to the new system, who knows? Maybe Ripple will go on or XRP will go on a 10-year bull run. Or maybe, and here's another thing that we have to look forward to is the Ripple IPO, right? So, yeah, maybe Ripple IPO can go up for 10 years. I actually am not looking forward to that because my fear with the Ripple IPO is Ripple, the company, is going to be, it's then going to be, I think XRP is going to kind of get correlated to Ripple, the stock. And we don't really want that because then if the stock market bleeds, then Ripple can bleed. Then if Ripple bleeds, then XRP can bleed. You know, we kind of want that, but we don't know. I'm speculating. So anyways, all right, now if we go to, now just envision this with XRP now, right? Now let's go back to XRP, and we'll look at the market cap, why not? And if we look here, right, it's the same kind of concept. So, okay, so here's both charts side by side. Now, look how crazy this is, guys. All right. So, you have your first wave up, right? So, first of all, 1, 2, 3, and then we have a triangle for 4, and now we should go get 5, right? So, we don't even know if, you know, like, for example, this one just straight up, right? So, is that going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that starts from here, and then we kind of go down, and then we kind of go down? No, I'm just kidding. No, I think for sure that this is the wave, right? Then you have the crash, you have the retrace, you have reaccumulation, and then you get the breakout, and then you get the breakout, and then you literally go up for 10 years. No, 15 years, right? So imagine, I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, like, you know, crypto is obviously much different. What I'm saying is we don't know what's going to happen because we don't have an example that we can look at, right? You know, so that's what I mean. Time, you don't want this thing going sideways for 50 years. Like that's not what I'm saying. But if you go sideways enough to develop a base, and I think this is a perfect size. Like I wouldn't want it any bigger, I wouldn't want it any smaller. I think it's a perfect size. You know, looking at this as a platform, right? As a platform. And then we level up, right? So but that's just that's the easy part. We already know all this stuff, right? Another reason why I think it's incredibly bullish is because Usually in a fourth wave, if this is 1, 2, 3, usually you get a fourth wave triangle. So A, B, C, D, E. That's your triangle right there for a wave 4. So your wave 1, your wave 2, your wave 3, a wave 4 triangle, and now we're initiating that wave 5. So is wave 5 finished? I don't think so. Now, this is the market cap of XRP. It looks a lot different. You can see we have the market cap is in price discovery, right? The market cap is in price discovery. So that's interesting, right? So the next thing is for the actual price to go into discovery. So if we take a fib level here, let's take one here first. You can see that's a $513 billion move if we hit a 4.236. Let's zoom in. There we go. Or is that 520, 527? So I don't care about that. I care about the percentages. Let's go up to about, if I can see, that's about 300% or so, a little bit more. So if I go up 300% on the price, it was a 320, I think. So if I go up 320, there you go. That gives us about $9.30, $9.24, essentially like $10. So not bad at all. So anyways, we're looking for a fifth wave here, right? So wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, let's get a wave 5. So I think this wave 5 should come with the anticipation of the tax cuts, the regulation, the Ripple lawsuit ending, the ETF. You know, I think what's holding people back a little bit is the China deal and the tariffs and maybe the economy and the recession fears. But I think once that gets resolved, there's nothing holding us back. You know, XRP is not going to create a 7-8 year structure just to crash and go to zero. It's just not going to happen, right? If you think for 1 second that XRP is going to come all the way back down to 50 cents, back down at this level, I just really don't see that at all, especially the way it's shaping. You can see we're flagging out in here, right? We have an impulse. This is a bull flag. You could see the bull flag. And let's measure. I've never measured it as a bull flag before, but let's go ahead and do so. So let me put the flag right there, and I'll put this one here, or I can even do it. It's a little subjective if you count this piece as a flag, or just, you know, like if you count the whole thing as a flag or just this as a flag, you get a little bit of a different number, but we'll just do it right about there is good enough, I think. All right, so then I'll take the flag and I'll put it right there, and then that gives us about $8 or so. Now some people put it up here. You know, some people put it up there, and that's more like $10, $11. So again, it's all the same. It's, you know, between $8 and $12, I think is going to be the number. So, and who knows, it might not even stop there. It might keep going, right? Because if we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, I would have to imagine we would get some kind of ABC and maybe even a hit to the high like this, and then we come down like in a flat or something. I'm really curious to see how the corrective structure comes following this fifth wave, right? So do we get an ABC? Do we get something like this where we kind of melt down? I don't know, right? Because again, XRP put in a lot of work. XRP put in 7 years worth of work to go sideways. Again, I can't stress enough how important a sideways base is. It's basically the building block of the platform. You cannot build a skyscraper without a platform, without a base, right? So this thing is XRP probably has the strongest support system of any crypto, right? XRP has more support than any crypto on the planet. All right. The reason why is because look at if Bitcoin had a meltdown disaster, it doesn't really have a lot of sideways support. Look at all of this sideways support, sideways, 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 all of this in here, right? There's a lot versus something like Bitcoin. You know, you really don't have much, right? You kind of go sideways a little bit, but you basically can go up, 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 right? So you're just kind of going up. So you have a lot of downside risk here versus something like XRP. You know, it's just been going sideways and then it breaks out. So, but if it breaks out and it crashes, well, guess what? It has all of this support. But if the Bitcoin continues to go up and then it crashes, where's the support? You know, obviously you have the all-time high here. You do have support here and you have support here, but not a lot, right? Not that much. So, but I don't know. I'm not worried about Bitcoin at all. I don't think Bitcoin has anything to worry about. It's kind of funny. I was listening to Kevin O'Leary and they were talking to him about crypto and he goes, oh yeah, there's only one crypto, you know, if you had to get one, that's Bitcoin. It's like, dude, have you seen the chart? It's like he'll never talk about XRP, right? The guy's not dumb, he's smart. So why would he not even mention XRP? Like he mentions Ethereum, he mentions Solana, he never ever talks about XRP. So it's just kind of odd. And not just him, but a lot of people, they just pretend it doesn't even exist, right? And it's very strange. So anyways, that's pretty much it for XRP. Let's actually look at the smaller time frames and see if there's anything new here on the daily. You know, it is the weekend. You know, this thing can come way down here first, right? So if this is a wave 1 and then we have to come down, 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 down for a wave 2 and then kind of build a little base and then go up for a wave 3, then hey, it is what it is, right? So expect a wave 2, expect something like that if we're heading down. So if we're going down, it's a wave 2. If we're going up, then we're getting back to the retrace levels, right? Maybe this was an ABC and that's all you needed. I don't know. To me, it looks like it needs more time. It looks like it just kind of needs to, like, give me a 3-way move right there and then let's go up. That's how I look at it. So, because I think this 4th wave is complete. I think it's complete. So, you know, you could see a W, X, Y, right? 3 down, 3 up, 3 back down, right? You have 3 down, you have 3 up, you have 3 down. So W, X, Y. So, and then if this is a wave 1, and then we get a wave 2, and we continue up. So, pretty much it in a nutshell. Is there any other counts? Is there any bearish counts? I just don't really see any bearish counts. You know, if this was a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and then a 5 and it's kind of like some kind of, I just don't really see that. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. So yeah, other than that, nothing really much has changed. If we look at something like AVAX, not just AVAX, but ICP, a lot of these charts that have this structure, right? So they have a beautiful impulse and an ABC structure. They're kind of building a base. Either this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, we could have one more wave down if it's going to be an extended wave, like 1, 2, 3, and then this is A, B, C for a 4, and then we still have to go down for a 5 and take the low and then go up, right? I mean, that could happen. That could happen. So, you know, you kind of only have 3 waves here, right? You got 3 waves up, you got 3 waves down, then you got 3 waves back up. So, you know, we'll see how it plays out. But if not, then this could be like a 1, 2, 1, 2 where we're flagging out and then we pop up for that 3rd wave. I don't think that this is going to be a 4th and then a 5th. I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think so. So, yeah, AVAX, Theta, I'm looking for retraces. XRP, I'm looking for major breakouts in that price discovery. Same thing with ICP. It looks exactly like the same chart as AVAX. You got an A1, ABC2, right? So, looks great. Monero. Oh my God, Monero looks great. I wish I would have just held on to it. I kind of got rid of some of it because it just, and I still may just wait, but it looks a little corrective. This could be like an A and then a little bit of a B and then you get a C and then go up. You know, it's one of those things where is it just going to come up and take the high? I don't know. It's a little bit up in the air here. But it looks pretty good. It looks good. SHIB looks okay. Kind of got a little 3-way pullback, maybe a 1, 2, or you get a 3. You get 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back down, and then go up. So then you'd have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm looking for another wave. I want to see this come up and take the high here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then come down in an ABC, right? And then kind of get going. So, same thing with NEAR. You got this major 3-wave pullback. So ICP, NEAR, and AVAX all have the same chart. So just pick one. ADA looks pretty good too. ADA's flagging out nicely. So expect to move up. I believe that's what's coming. Nothing there. Litecoin, you got this 3-wave pullback. This could be a wave 1. Get another 3-wave pullback and then go up. I don't think this is just going to keep going up. I mean, we went up here, you know, so it makes sense to come down a little bit and then go back up. So maybe we got some downside coming here soon. XLM has a very pretty looking 3-wave move. You see how it's very elongated. You can see that, right? Even in this wave 2 here, right? But they all lead to big moves. So, yeah, XLM is very easy. You got 3 waves up, you got 3 waves down, and that 3-wave down took 1 year to complete. And then you have 1, 2, 3, ABC 4, let's go get 5. So you have a 3, 3, 5. That's an ABC. Let's go. All right, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you can hit the like, subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what you think. And look out for a members video this coming week. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Remember, this is not financial advice. I could be totally wrong. We're just trying to figure things out. And sometimes it's challenging. Sometimes it just needs patience. Sometimes we're just totally wrong, right? But for the most part, I'm believing that this should be basically bottoming here. And I want to see a base get built. And then I want to see a retracement. and then I want to see a 5-wave impulse in that retrace. I want to see a flag, not a violent rejection, and then I want to see a breakout. So, you know, we could have like a shoulder ahead, and then we get another shoulder, right, and then we break out, maybe something like that. So anyways, cheers.